Coastfm96.3. You're on a very rocking, very exciting, very special episode of Raw Youth Disability Radio. Angus Hamill with you as always on a wet and rainy Monday evening, but that's not going to dampen our spirits on the 6th of May 2020. Raw! Hope you had a fantastic day and a wonderful weekend as well. We certainly did. Now, to give you a little bit of context onto tonight's episode, you might remember a while back, myself and Brando Macmillan got the chance to visit a studio up in Carrington, Newcastle called The Vibe, aimed at people living with disabilities getting the chance to explore their creative side. Well, while we were up there, Brando got the chance to chat with a young man named Cooper Gillett, who is living on the autism spectrum and also with anxiety, but that hasn't stopped him from becoming the frontman and bassist of a band formed at The Vibe called Statik. Well, just the other weekend, we got invited by Cooper himself to come see the band in action. Myself and Brando made the trek up to the Hamilton Railway Hotel to see Statik play a gig in front of us live. It's the first time we've ever had the chance to cover an actual concert on Raw, and to make matters even cooler, the band they were supporting that night were fronted by none other than the Red Wiggle himself, Murray Cook. Speaking of which, frontman Cooper Gillett is about to be joined by Brando Macmillan for a pre-show interview.
Youth Disability Radio.
Thanks, Angus. You're on Raw Youth Disability Radio, and we're out here at Hamilton Hotel. And joining me is someone who's been on the show before, Cooper Gillett. Cooper, how are you doing tonight?
Good, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing great now, Cooper. To those who might miss our last chat, you did mention that you had anxiety, and I was just wondering if you can talk more about that.
Well, with autism, anxiety can sometimes be a big part of that. A lot of people suffer from anxiety even if they don't have a disability, but in my case, my anxiety can make me feel a bit nervous on meeting new people and going out to different places and even certain areas that might have a bit of a reputation. But I usually found out that the best way to work around it, as I mentioned before, is focus on what you love, but at the same time try not to force yourself as well, because that'll just make things worse.
Yeah, exactly. And also, the reason why we're here is because your band Statik is about to do a gig, and I can imagine performing in front of hundreds and hundreds of people can trigger that anxiety. So how do you cope around that?
Well, funny enough, every time I'm on stage, that's when the anxiety just completely disappears. I remember doing a Michael Jackson dance when I was like 11 in front of my whole primary school, and I suffered from anxiety back then. But once I hit the stage, the anxiety just went down the drain. So on stage, it actually doesn't get greatly affected. When I'm on stage, the anxiety just disappears, and it feels like it's one of my safe places, you know?
Yeah, it's like you're almost playing a character.
Yeah, pretty much. I guess with musicians, you have two different personalities, and obviously that you can hear the music now.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But I like to think musicians kind of have two personalities. They have the personality when they hit stage and wear nice clothes and even eyeliner and everything, but once they hit off the stage...
Like what you're wearing now.
Yeah, exactly like what I'm wearing now, but when you're not on the stage, you're in a way, a completely different person most of the time. So I'm not sure how it works, but a lot of the time that's how it works.
Yeah, right. So a lot of people with anxiety who's like a musician like you, very dedicated, but might get a little nervous, let's say maybe even performing on stage, or even maybe show up for a band rehearsal. What advice would you give those people?
The best advice I can give people who would struggle to go on stage is it's very nervous, but it shows that you care. Because you get nervous before you go on stage or before you go on rehearsal. See, rehearsal's a bit different because you're with friends and you're there to learn, but I guess when you go on stage, the best advice I can give is being nervous just means you care, and once you go on stage, the adrenaline just hits you and you just feel completely different.
And you just want to do more and more and more, when's the next gig, when's the next band practice, the whole thing.
That's it, and you get used to it as well. The first gig that I did, I was quite nervous, playing in front of people I didn't know, but you get used to it really, really quickly.
Yeah, I can imagine that, and it seems like you're pretty keen now, especially since you're going to play with the Soul Movers, Murray Cook's band. Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Well, I've been waiting for this for a couple of months. I reached out to the Soul Movers a few months ago. Obviously, I've loved the Wiggles as a kid. It's not just that the Soul Movers are a great band in general. This is a great gig for us at all because we're playing in the band room at the Hamilton station, and we've never done it before. So this will be hopefully be a bit of a turning point for us.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. So, Cooper, we're going to take a quick break, but after the break, we're hopefully going to be back with you and also the rest of the members of Statik.
Yeah, sure. Hopefully, Jordan will get over his nerves and anxiety behind the microphone, but I'll make sure he gets on the mic.
Yeah, no worries. So until then, you're on Raw Youth Disability Radio. Back to you, Angus.
Youth Disability Radio on Coast FM.
Oh, cheers, Brando, and cheers very much to Cooper Gillett right there, frontman of Statik, for joining us to tell us a little bit about his experiences living with autism and anxiety and how that translates into his life as a musical performer. Now, it's time for us to take a quick break, but coming up, spoiler alert, we did actually get the chance to have the rest of the band join us for a chat before they went in for their mic check and their awesome concert we got the chance to see as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, boys, if you're listening in, but I believe this is the first time all the members of Statik have come together for a radio interview. Not only Cooper, but the other members, Jacob and Jordan as well.
Coast FM's Raw Youth Disability Radio.
Coastfm96.3, you're on Raw Youth Disability Radio. Myself and
Brandon
are still recording and reporting live here at Hamilton Station Hotel up in Newcastle. We've been invited up here by Cooper Gillett, who's been on the show before, frontman of a awesome band up and coming here in Newcastle called Statik. Now, before tonight, all you've heard has been Cooper chatting with Brando, but we're getting the chance to meet the entire band right now. Firstly, I'd like to go around and get your names and what exactly you do in the band. We'll start with the familiar voice. Cooper, what do you do for the band?
I'm the lead singer and bass player.
And we also have Jacob, what do you do in the band?
I am the lead guitarist.
And we also have Jordan, what is it you do in the band?
Guitarist.
Fantastic. Now, I'll go to you first, Jacob. How long have you been playing guitar for?
Probably about 20 years. I've just recently joined Statik as their lead guitarist. I'm having a lot of fun.
That's awesome. How did you meet Cooper and become a part of Statik?
I've been going to Statik shows probably since they started, and I've known Cooper for a fair few years.
And you're like, hey, do you guys need an extra guitarist?
Cooper hit me up because they had an availability for their guitar spot, and I said yes, and here we are.
We actually wanted him as our first guitarist, but Jacob was too busy doing his own stuff, so that's when we couldn't use him until recently, so that's ironic.
He's here now, so that's the main thing. That's the main thing. So, Jordan, what do you do?
I am the resident guitarist / I want to say songwriter in a way.
Oh, yeah. So how long have you been a part of Statik?
Since day one, pretty much.
Oh, so an OG. Very cool. So did you form it with Cooper at the Vibe?
Yes, I was writing a song on my own, instrumentally, then Cooper came along, and then we wrote some words and then changed it up a bit from like old dad rock to more sounding.
Well, it's funny you say the dad rock because that would fit in very well with who you're supporting tonight, the Soul Movers and Murray Cook. Are you guys looking forward to performing alongside like a legend from our childhoods, Jacob?
Absolutely. Like, it's just an amazing opportunity to have just in general. So to be able to perform with Murray tonight is it's incredible.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Did any nerves kicked in? Because I walked past Murray, I said hi, but then the nerves kicked in, I kind of froze a little bit. What about you guys?
Well, I've met Murray a couple of times before tonight, so I wasn't... Yeah, fanboy, yeah. Not to mention I got a Jeff Wiggles skivvy at home, but I have met Murray a couple of times, so I wasn't quite as nervous, but I still get it's Murray, very starstruck.
Yeah, cool. So are you guys about to play soon? So are we going to expect some new originals, some covers? What's the lineup?
We've written some new originals, and this is the first time we're playing with backing tracks, so this is a whole new experience for us in general. Yeah, some new originals.
Yeah, nice. And this is a whole new experience for us on Raw as well. First time myself and Brando have actually attended a concert of an artist we featured on Raw, so this is history in the making right here as well.
So you owe us a Central Coast gig, so it's more local for us, more easy of a drive.
We've got a couple of Central Coast gigs in the works because we want to go outside of Newcastle and just go everywhere we can.
Well, sweet. We'll welcome you with open arms. Now, a couple of questions I really want to know before we wrap things up to each of you. With the pre-show sort of thing, hanging out around here between sound check and actually going on stage, do you guys have any sort of pre-show rituals that you do or anything that you do to help calm the nerves down?
You have a punch on.
You have a punch on? That sounds like a real Newcastle thing to do.
Yeah, very Newcastle if you ask me.
How about you, Jacob?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I just probably have a can of Coke and chillax, just sit down for a bit.
And then one more question before we wrap up, guys, because I know you have to get ready soon. This might be impossible to answer because it's like choosing your favourite child, but I'll go to each of you. What's your favourite song to perform live?
There's a couple. We're recently covering a Linkin Park song for the first time tonight. I'd say that, personally.
My favourites to play is a song we have. It's called All You Want. Yeah, I reckon the guitar work in it is just so punchy and like real energy in the arms. It's so fun.
Yeah, nice. Sounds like a banger. And how about you, Jordan?
They're all good.
Yeah, nice. They're all your fave.
Love the confidence. All right, boys, looks like we're about to wrap things up. We don't want to take too much of your time, so before we let you go, one, can we get a selfie for the social medias?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Big fans.
But also, where can people find you guys for updates on shows, music, and everything in between?
Well, you can visit our Linktree. If you go Statik Band Linktree, our website's on there, and all of our socials, everything will be available there.
All right, there you go. Angus, do the outro.
Well, thanks so much for joining us on the show. It's been so cool to get the whole band for an interview, and I can't wait to see you kick butt on stage tonight. Statik, thanks so much for joining us on Raw Youth Disability Radio.
This is Raw with Angus Hamill.
Well, history-making stuff right there on Raw. All three members of the awesome band Statik joining myself and Brando Macmillan for a chat backstage before they were due to go on for their mic check and their amazing set. We unfortunately didn't get a chance to have a chat with Murray Cook, who they were there supporting that night, but as you could hear in the background with all the ruckus, the drums and the guitar, you could hear some of his handiwork right there. The Soul Movers were doing their sound check as we were chatting with Statik, so apologies for the ruckus in the background, but it's proof that we were there, I reckon. And like they said, if you'd like to find out more info about Statik, you can head to our Facebook page, look up Coastfm96.3, scroll down till you see the promo post for tonight's episode of Raw, and there will be a link on there to Statik's Facebook page where you can keep up with their gigs, and also, like they said, a few original songs that they will be releasing over the course of this year as well. Can't wait for that. Super stoked to see them at a gig on the Central Coast as well. Trust me, if that happens, go and see them. They are fantastic live. Thanks very much, guys.